The Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel welcomes you to this edition of the Mayors and Supervisors Weekly Update, brought to you by...
Each week, our community makes history. Each week, you make history. And each week, there's only one source to turn to for the first take on history. You know what that is? Subscribe to the Sentinel right now to discover the history being made in your own backyard.
The Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel. More than just your news, it's your history.
Hey, welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Mayors and Supervisors Update. I'm Chris Carosa, publisher of the Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel, and each week we bring you the goings-on in the towns and villages that we cover. This week we'll be starting with Mike Falk in the town of Lima. Mike, what's it looking like in Lima this week?
Well, Chris, thanks for having us again. This week we've some updates and some other things, but we will start off again with the solar eclipse. So we are indeed selling the eclipse glasses here at the town hall. We have our supply in, $2 a set. The eclipse, partial eclipse, is going to be on October 14th. The total solar eclipse is going to be on April 8th. You will need the eclipse glasses for both in order to safely view the eclipse. So we'll see how the supply lasts here, and if we run out, then we will get more. They are very dark. There's going to be a veteran and family picnic, 12 county-wide, at the National Warplane Museum on September 2nd from 1 to 6 p.m. This is sponsored by United Healthcare and the Veterans One Stop Center. There's a bunch of free raffles, free this, free that. It is free to veterans and their families. You can either email Will at wstory, S-T-O-R-E-Y, at vocwny.org, or you can call 716-898-0110 to sign up and go and enjoy the 12 county-wide veteran picnic. Back to the eclipse. If you're a Livingston County business or group or organization, they are still accepting applications for eclipse-related event funding at Livingston County Tourism. All you have to do is email info@visitlivco.com, and they'll set you up with the application. You get advertising, you get glasses, you get a whole bunch of other things for the different levels. And lastly, preservelocalelections.com is being fostered by the New York State Association of Counties. In the spring budget, there has been some legislation to go ahead and change everything to we're all voting the same even years. This is going to bury all of our local issues, our local candidates, etc., either underneath the statewide issues on one election cycle or the federal ones like we're seeing right now that have taken over everything for next year's election. If you feel strongly that this is the wrong thing to do, the last stop for this legislation is the governor's desk. If you go to www.preservelocalelections.com. There is a link there to send Governor Hochul a note and let her know not to sign the legislation. And that's all I got, Chris.
Thanks, Mike. And I will be reading from Rick Milne's report on Honeoye Falls. Rick says, as of the live presentation Sunday, August 20th, and as of the Sentinel publishing this week, the second year of what? Oh, okay. Let me start all over again. All right. So this weekend is the annual event of the Festival at the Falls. If you're watching this live, it would have been occurring yesterday. If you're reading it in the Sentinel, it would have occurred over the last weekend. And it was predicted to be a great day of weather in the village. Rick wants to thank Howard Hanna Realty, the team, for their efforts in putting this festival together. The vendor sections were sold out. There was some great music planned and food prepared by the Union Star Lodge Masons. We appreciate all those involved in this festival's presentation, and we hope that our residents and visitors appreciate the event as well as continue to support it. It's our hope that this festival will only continue to grow. Summer projects continue to keep up our Department of Public Works and Highway teams busy, and soon we'll need to prepare for colder weather projects as well. I hate to think about that right now, but as we near September and have kids going back to school shortly, we know that weather will change soon as well. The wastewater treatment plant project continues to move through the planning stages, and we now have major grant funding requests in, and appreciate our staff and the engineering team for their efforts to move this huge project forward through the process. This $8 million plus project is vital to our community residents and businesses alike, and for the future growth and planning for the community. That was Rick Milne, Mayor of Honeoye Falls. Now it's over to John Moffett, Supervisor of the town of Mendon. What's going on in Mendon, John?
Well, just to give you an update on the spray park, the town board met recently and decided to keep the spray park open past Labor Day. The reason for that, number one, is that we obviously had a shutdown period this summer where it was not able to be used, and we have experienced some pretty good weather in September. Obviously, if the weather isn't good, I should say, we probably won't have many people at the spray park. But if we get some decent days in September, we want to make it more available to our residents. The mobile mammogram will be at the community center in Honeoye Falls. Our town clerk, Michelle Booth, made arrangements for this. It is on September 30th, which is a Saturday, from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. It is absolutely free. Whether you have insurance or don't have insurance, doesn't matter. Once again, we want to make sure that our residents know that that's available for them. That's the first time we've had it in the town of Mendon, so kudos to our town clerk, Michelle. Also, on October 14th, we're going to have our recycle event, which includes shredding, recycling, pharmaceutical collection, and the rabies shots are available. The rabies shots are free. That's going to be at 101 Semmel Road. That's at the Highway Department for the town of Mendon from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. If you are inquisitive as to what you can bring to the recycling, you can check the town of Mendon's website. And one of the things that's different than in the past is that there is no charge for TV recycling. Previously, there had been one. Now there is no charge for TV recycling. And lastly, as we're creeping up on fall, I want to remind everybody that school will be opening in the next few weeks. Please be cognizant of our children walking to and from school, as well as after school events. The school buses are going to be on the road. If you're commuting, especially first thing in the morning, keep that in mind for possibly an earlier leave time if there's school buses on your way to work. Also, for those of you who are in the Honeoye Falls-Lima or Pittsburgh Central School Districts who live in the town of Mendon, your school tax bills will be arriving shortly, I'm sorry to say, but they are payable at the Mendon Town Hall. But once again, I want to remind you that you do need to be a resident of the town of Mendon. And we do have a drop box on the Main Street side of the building next to the door. You can leave your payments in there, or certainly come in and see us. We'd love to see you. Thanks very much.
All right. Thanks, John. Mike, anything more you want to add? Nope. All right. Well, thank you both for being here. Thank you all for watching. Remember, we are broadcasting this And wait, before we go, we got this late breaking news from Steve. Steve, you just made it in by the hair. Steve, what's going on in Henrietta?
I was actually here and I had moved over to close the door. So on the on the 17th, the Floor and Decor grand opening was held. So that's the new large, as the name implies, Floor and Decor store at the mall. It's in place of the old Macy's. So that went up very quickly. Also at the mall, the Marketplace Senior Housing is progressing very quickly, and they've had tremendous response. They're now taking wait lists for people who want to get in there. So that's an affordable senior housing complex. The senior housing project and the URMC Orthopedic Center were done as part of our mixed use development that overlay that we had put at the mall to help revitalize it. And the Floor and Decor is one of the first big stores that has moved into the mall, whereas usually the news at the mall is stores are closing. So that's going to be a great addition. Very happy to have it. We have a number of additional senior housing projects coming soon, and so I met with the director of the senior center, and we're going to host a senior housing fair at the Henrietta Senior Center on Friday, September 22nd from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, with representatives from most of the current senior housing in town, as well as representatives from most of those new projects in the works. So, a lot of seniors are considering downsizing, and especially at this time in the market where they could get really good value for their current houses, and are looking at, want to understand what their options are, again, both current and those that are coming. So, with the Marketplace Senior Housing and the Masonic community or care community coming, those are two very large projects, but we also have another, including one that's in the works, in the approval stages right now. And one of the things we did with that one is with an incentive zoning, they were over the unit count. And so I approached them about would they be willing to take two of the buildings and wire them so that they were had fire alarms and doorbells that were light and or could communicate to cell phones for the deaf and hard of hearing. And we basically told them if they were willing to do that, we would allow them to have the additional units. And so they took us up on that. So where that came from is a company called Interpretech had held its 35th anniversary earlier this summer, and a number of residents there came up and expressed how whereas there may be some individual units here and there really aren't much in the way of entire buildings, for senior housing that are wired for the deaf and hard of hearing. And so I think that's a great outcome and a perfect example of why we put the incentive zoning in place when we did the last comprehensive land use update. So very excited about all those projects. As you know, we have an aging population, and a lot of these residents have made it very clear they're looking to downsize, but they want to stay in Henrietta. So I'm very happy that our developers are coming through with a bunch of interesting projects. That's about it.
All right. Thanks, Steve. And again, thank you, everybody. This program is broadcast every Sunday at 1 p.m. Like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you will be able to see this program as it airs live. And with John coming back, we'll sign off and say, we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye for now.
Imagine yourself communicating with a difference. Pan-Dimensional Solutions helps you do this. Whether live spectator events, taped broadcasts, or real-time audience-engaging programs, you can benefit immediately from the tools Pan-Dimensional Solutions will share with you. Do you want to make a difference? Contact us at pandimensional.com.